and namaste all. Good afternoon to everybody. I welcome you all on behalf of Hindus of Greater Houston for the Ramnavami speech contest. The schedule would be as follows. As soon as the welcome speech is done, we will have Ramnavami significance being told to us by Rachnaji Shah. Then we'll have a judge's introduction, which will be done by Ranjana Bediji. Then the list of participants and nominee introduction would be done by Manisha Gandhi ji, followed by Taraji, who would introduce Vipashit's speech. We'll have a 10 minutes judges review. And at the end of the program, Taraji will deliver the vote of thanks. So sit back and relax and just enjoy the event. I welcome you all on behalf of Hindus of Greater Houston. Namaste. Thank you. Over to you, Rachnaji.
Namaste, Jai Shri Ram. Whether he served his people as a king or gave up his position and ventured into the forest, he unequivocally stepped up to serve his people, his family, and what he believed in. Instead of getting stuck on positions or fame, Ramayana teaches the spirit of service is what sets you apart. Serve or help others in whatever resources you have. A great life example of this is an altruistic work being done by our Seva International volunteers, who distribute food to all the needy people on every weekend. And also last year, VPSS donated 5,000 masks made by Houston volunteers. And most of this volunteer spirit of service is not connected to any position or post, but to their innate goodness. You need to value your support system. When Rama was banished into the exile, his brother Lakshmana accompanied him, and Bharat did not accept the position of king and waited for his brother to come home. The people that surround you are your biggest strength. This life is not meant to be lived. That is the relevance of Rama in our modern life. Just by repeating the name of desserts, payasam, gulab jamun, laddu, can you enjoy their sweet taste? No, you can enjoy them only when you eat. Similarly, reading about Ramayana is not enough. You need to practice it and see how your life changes. Jai Shri Ram.
It is my distinct pleasure to introduce today's three distinguished judges. First of all, Dr. Bala Aiyer. Dr. Bala Aiyer was born in Thurayur in Tamil Nadu, India, and was educated at Stanley Medical College, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. He served as an Army medical officer in the Indian Army from 1963 to 1967. After his postgraduate degree in medicine, he served as associate professor of medicine in Chennai, India till 1973. In 1973, he moved to the US. He was in private practice in Houston, Texas from 1977 to 2001, and following that in the VA hospital till 2008. He has been involved in several community activities. He has been active in Sri Meenakshi Temple right from the word get-go, from the beginning. He has been involved in several activities related to educational programs to teach the youth about the culture, the traditions, and the religious literature of Hindu Dharma. He has published several books on Hindu Dharma, which are all available on Amazon at near cost value. For the past 15 years, he has joined a group of volunteers in organizing a weekly spiritual satsang at Sri Meenakshi Temple. Our second judge is Mr. Brij Kathuria. Mr. Brij Kathuria moved to the US when he was only 17 years old and has been living in the US since for the last 50 years. He did all his higher studies in the US and worked in the high-tech industries throughout his career. While he was growing up, he always stayed close to the Hindu Dharma, beliefs, and values. He is retired in name, but is working hard and serving on Pratham, Magic Bus, Arya Samaj, and Meenakshi Temple boards. Previously, he has served on the boards for Indo-American Chamber of Commerce and India Culture Center. He is married to Aruna and a proud parent of Bobby and Neil Kathuria. The entire family and daughter-in-laws are all followers of Vipassana meditation. Our third judge is Mr. Vivek Menon. Vivek Menon is a serial entrepreneur with interest in civic issues and politics. He serves on various boards and commissions in India, as well as the US. In the US, he's a board member of the Indo-American Political Action Committee and straddles the worlds of real estate as well as civil infrastructure projects both in the US and in India. He's a graduate of Texas A&M and has many accolades to his name. He's married to his beautiful wife Namrita, has 2 children, Sanjana and Siddharth, and most importantly, he's a parent to 2 beautiful dogs, Maya and Bentley. Okay, with this, I pass the baton to Manisha Gandhi.
Welcome, everybody. This is Manisha Gandhi. I'm a board of director with Hindus of Greater Houston, and we have wonderfully talented children today participating for this Ramnavami speech contest. They're all well prepared, have worked hard. Thank you, judges. Thank you, Taraji, and rest of the board for participating. So we'll start with Anusha Satyanarayan. Anusha is a freshman at UT San Antonio, and she's pursuing a Bachelor's of Science in Neuroscience. And she has an extensive resume of volunteership: Eternal Gandhi Museum of Houston, Sri Meenakshi Temple, Maud Marks Public Library, Bharati Kalai Manram, PetSmart. And she says the best way to support one's religion is to support the people and its institution and organizations who are engaged in serving it. Her quote, this is from Anusha herself, and I love this, Anusha: "Work for a cause, not applause. Live life to express, not to impress." So I give you Anusha.
Thank you, and namaste. Today I'm going to speak on the relevance of Ramayana in today's life. Rama means goodness and Ayana means journey. Ramayana is the journey to goodness. Ramu Vigrahavan Dharma represents how Rama is the personification of Dharma. Ramu Vigrahavan Dharma surprisingly came from the demon Maricha. Maricha praises Sri Rama as a piece of advice to Ravana, who had sought Maricha's help to abduct Sita. Now, we cannot have a person with all good qualities. However, Valmiki brought Rama as an epitome of virtue and an idol of Dharma before us, with all 100% qualities to teach us what is duty, truth, and bravery, being an ideal husband, son, brother, and ideal ruler means. In fact, Ramarajyam is a nation of excellent prototype government, and in fact, that's how we want our world to be today. Furthermore, there are several lessons we can learn from the Ramayana. In fact, these are my favorite lessons I learned from the Ramayana and also are very important for the current world and the youth of today. They are: respect elders and be duty-bound towards parents. Ram left for the Vanvas after his stepmother expressed her desire to see her biological son, Bharat, as the future king of Ayodhya. Second, family is important. Lord Rama sacrificed his kingdom and obeyed his father's promise, showing the attachment and positive bonding with his family. Third, all the glitters are not gold, so looks can be very deceiving. Sita got attracted to a spotted deer that looked incredibly beautiful. She wanted Ram to get the deer from her from the jungle. Actually, it wasn't a deer, but Maricha, a demon. Last but not least, team formation and motivation. Team Motivation by Jambavan is a classical example of Rama's good managing skills and helping Hanuman to realize his full potential. Hanuman's first Sri Lanka trip guides us to determine our goals, make plans, analyze the strengths and weaknesses of our enemy. Rama has shown how to be a good leader, believe and motivate your team. He teaches us how to acknowledge that even the smallest squirrels contribute to making the biggest bridges. Finally, the Ramayana will enrich our lives and help us to be a better human being and great leaders of tomorrow with strong cultural and traditional influences.
Thank you, Anusha. Thank you for your insight into the Ramayana and the lessons that you have learned. The youth of today are very impressive and learning so many lessons in this wonderful epic of Ramayana and the virtues of Ram. Our next participant is Riya Shah. Riya is a junior at high school for performing and visual arts. Her hobbies are playing the piano and percussion instruments. She has also won many musical competitions, and she has attended Vallabh Vidya Mandir on Sunday for her spiritual learning. And she will be pursuing major in biology in college. Riya Shah.
Thank you. So, the world is not the best place or anywhere as good as it once was long ago. So we are surrounded by a toxic environment that motivates us to be vicious. We can get away with it by saying it's the world we grew up in, what we were exposed to. But Sri Ram also grew up in an imperfect world. So what did he do that we can also do? He gave guidance and direction to people that were swaying away from their paths. He gave others confidence, but most importantly, he passed on morals to create more leaders. These qualities are very much at our disposal today and are not impossible to execute, because when we look at ideal figures within the limits of a human, our minds directly remember Sri Ram. Bhagwan Sri Ram is known as Maryada Purushottam, which means the man of limits, with the key word in that description being man, not limits. He was the best man that never crossed his limits as a human being. We all have our roles as daughter, son, sister, brother, and such, but first we are all human beings. Similarly, he was first a human being upon taking his many roles as a son, brother, father, husband, friend, and king. Right from childhood, Ram had a great sense of responsibility towards his brothers. When they were feeling homesick, when they went to Vashish Muni's Gurukul, to his caring nature, he helped his brothers go to sleep. In each role, he showed immense amounts of leadership. And leadership is not only about leading people and following in that same way, it is about being the best leader you can be to give rise to new leaders so that there will always be a legacy that stands for dharma over adharma. Leadership would be giving a main idea, but leaving the details off to the carrier. An example being from Lankakand of Tulsidas Goswami's Ramcharitra Manas. बहुत बुझाए तुम्हाही क्या कहो परम चतुर में जानता हो काजू हमर तसु हित होय रिपु सन करे हो but kahi soi. This is Sri Ram addressing Angad and telling him to go to Lanka. Sri Ram says, I do not need to give you any elaborate instructions. I know you are supremely clever. You should talk with the enemy in such words as may advance my cause and serve his interest at the time. And so by giving Angad complete autonomy, Sri Ram showed trust and boosted Angad's self-confidence. Sri Ram created leaders by being selfless while in exile. Sri Ram brought justice to the people of Lanka, so it made sense for him to become their king and was offered the kingdom. But he knew that his duty was to defeat Ravan and return to Ayodhya. And so he made Vibhishan the king, knowing that there were good traits which would make him a remarkable leader. These good qualities that Ram instilled in others and passed on was a way to ensure that these morals can be implicated in our lives today. As for following Prabhu Sri Ram's lead, why don't we do the same? Let's start together, take it one day at a time. This way we can lead the world and instill those qualities into future generations. Thank you. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram, Riya. Thank you for the inspirational words. Our next participant is Stawya Agarwal, and he is the youngest participant today. He is in elementary school, 5th grade. Very proud of you, Stawya. He attends Arya Samaj Sunday School every Sunday and has been part of Hindi Heritage Youth Camp. And he has participated in all the group activities at the Arya Samaj. He loves to sing bhajans and has been learning Indian classical music for last 6 years. And aside from music, he loves to build Legos and is very active in robotics. So, Stawya Agarwal.
Ram Ram Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranam Tattulyam Ram Nama Varanane. Sri Ram, the seventh avatar of Bhagwan Vishnu, who, even though was blessed with superpowers, yet decided to live a common man's life, displaying perfect moral as well as social behaviors to uphold dharma. Most Ramayana has the story of Ram, Sita, and Lakshman going to the forest, and then later on, with the help of Hanuman, killing Ravan. Having said that, what I find the most interesting and inspiring about Ramayana is the journey of a prince, Ram, who transforms himself into Maryada Purushottam Sri Ram through his life struggles, inspiring generations to come. Respected distinguished guests, elders, and friends. My name is Stawya Agarwal, and it is my honor and privilege to share my views on how Sri Ram is relevant in today's time. Among many, there are three key qualities that I would like to highlight today. The first one is inclusivity. Sri Ram is at the core of Bharatiya civilization and is an intrinsic part of lives, cutting across barriers of language, caste, creed, and even international boundaries. In a world where we hear discrimination based on color, race, and a world where hate crimes are so prevalent, learning and admiring his interactions with Nishad, Kevat, Shabri, Sugriv, and many more Vanvasis, along with how he treated them with love and respect, is what I see as strong examples for all of us to follow today. Ram inspires us to change our consciousness from me to we. The next one is about trusting family and friends. Ram always trusted Lakshman and Hanuman. They were more than a brother and a devotee to him, which they have proven time and time again. He trusted the weight of his kingdom to his brother Bharat and the responsibility of his family to his other brother Shatrughan. He trusted Sugriv and Vibhishan and followed their advice in the war against Ravan, demonstrating examples that your family and friends always have your back in however tight the spot you are in. And the third one is to remain calm and never give up. Remember when Ram was told to go for 14 years of exile, or when Sita was held captive by Ravan? Ram never overreacted to the situation and instead tried to find a fitting response. And he never backed down, no matter if he had to build a bridge all the way to Lanka or had to build an army of Vanars and Vanvasis. Towards the end, I'd only say Rama is an epitome of virtue and an idol of dharma. He characterizes how a man should fulfill his moral commitments and should strictly follow his limits so that social order can be maintained. And that is why he is known as Maryada Purushottam, or the man of limits. I'd like to finally leave you with this verse from Ramayana. We're sitting in Sri Lanka. Sri Ram tells importance of mother and motherland to Lakshman. He says, Api Swarnmayi Lanka, Name Lakshman Rochite, Janani Janma Bhumischa, Swargadapi Gariyasi. This means that mother and the motherland is beyond the best you can get in this or even beyond this world. So wherever you are, keep loving your mother and the motherland. Thank you. Namaste.
Very well spoken, young wise man, Stawya. Thank you very much for participating. And next we have Shiv Shah. He is in middle school in Cypress, Texas, 8th grade, and wants to become a neurologist when he attends college. He participates in the Science Olympiad state team and plays basketball for the Cypress Sports League. So he's science and sports. Way to go, Shiv. He is at level 3 student at SGGM Vedic School. So Shiv is participating in spiritual, sports, and science. And so we present Shiv Shah as our next participant.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. My name is Shiv Shah. I am 14 years old and I'm in 8th grade. And here's my speech. Here we go. What is Rama Vigrahavan Dharma? The literal meaning is Lord Ram is the embodiment of Dharma. He represents Dharma. Throughout his pastimes on earth, Lord Ram spread Dharma, and Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glaner bhavati bharata abhutanam adharmasya tadatmanam shijamyaham. This verse means the Lord comes millennium after millennium to establish Dharma. So Lord Krishna predicted that in another incarnation, he would come and he would spread Dharma, which is what he did. But why is this important? Well, first of all, there are actually two types of Dharma. One is bodily Dharma and the other one is related to the soul. Bodily Dharma is related to the body. And because the body is temporary, this Dharma is also temporary. Some examples of bodily Dharma would be good values, good morals, and how we treat each other in this particular body. Lord Ram was a perfect king, a perfect husband, and a perfect warrior. Therefore, he is embodying bodily dharma. He is showing us how to do bodily dharma. But the actual reason Lord Ram came was to spread the dharma of the soul. In this case, dharma means duty, and the duty of the soul is to be closer to the Lord. But how do we get closer to the Lord? By doing pure devotional service or bhakti. Bhakti can be doing arti or offering the Lord food, or it could be doing kirtan. Anything done in the name of the Lord lovingly and sincerely is called bhakti. Lord Ram displayed bhakti through his devotees like Sita, Ram, and uh, Lakshman. Sita, Hanuman, and Lakshman. But still, why is this important? We know that Lord Ram came to spread Dharma, but what does this have to do with us? Well, just like Lord Ram, pure devotees all over the world are spreading bhakti, and we must listen to them and do our job to do not just one, but both types of Dharma to fulfill our duty of becoming closer to the Lord. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my speech. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Our participant, who is Anjali Aggarwal. Anjali is a senior at Kempner High School in Sugar Land, and she will be pursuing pre-med at the University of Houston in the fall. She has volunteered with many organizations and giving her service, but primarily, she has been very active with youth of Hindus of Greater Houston and Hindus of Greater Houston main organization in helping as a director of marketing. And she's currently an intern with Hindus of Greater Houston. So I present to you Anjali Aggarwal as our next participant.
Thank you. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. I believe that in order to truly understand the essence of Shri Ram in modern society, we must first understand who he was and what made him so great. Shri Ram was the seventh avatar of Lord Vishnu and had descended on earth during the Treta Yuga, roughly around 1.2 million years ago, according to one source. Yes, you're hearing that right. Sanatan Dharma has lasted far longer than any history book can account for. Lord Shri Ram is an undisputed standard of ideal and is also known as Maryada Purushottam, which translates to the man of limits and who is supreme in honor. Out of the 16 kalas or qualities of Lord Vishnu, Shri Ram is the master of 4. He is the epitome of righteousness and dharma in the modern world. That is his legacy and why we celebrate him even today, 1.2 million years later in the Kali Yuga. Since Shri Ram's descent in the Treta Yuga, the world has drastically changed. Immorality and adharma have increased. Yet by reading the Ramayana, we are able to learn how to remain within the limits of dharma, with Shri Ram as the perfect role model. Shri Ram was a devoted son, brother, husband, and king. To respect the wishes of one of his mothers, Kekai, and to honor the promise of his father, Maharaj Dasharath, Shri Ram accepted his 14-year exile without a second thought. Shri Ram had said to Rishi Vashist that it is difficult for the children to repay the debt of what the mother and the father have done to bring them up. From this sacrifice, we learn how one must carry out his duties to his parents with pure devotion. And not only did he carry out his duties as a son, but he did so as a husband as well, teaching us the principles needed in marriage. After their return from exile, Shri Ram's subjects were wrongly doubtful of Sita Mata's purity. Although she had been proven pure through the test of fire, their concern led Shri Ram into a moral dilemma. In order to fulfill his duties as king, Shri Ram had to banish Sita Mata to Rishi Valmiki's ashram. However, he had promised to remain true to Sita Mata and never remarried. Swami Vivekananda had described Shri Ram as the embodiment of truth, of morality, the ideal son, the ideal husband, and above all, the ideal king. Shri Ram was able to characterize how a man should fulfill his moral commitments and should strictly follow his limits so that social order can be maintained. The teachings of the Ramayana are held as the moral edict in Hindu families, even today. This is because it creates a strong value system in society. Its teachings establish the values of selflessness, honesty, courage, and helps maintain the highest standards of integrity. Shri Ram had said to Maharishi Jayabali that just as people are afraid of serpents, they are afraid of people who utter lies. Truth controls this world, and dharma is rooted in truth. The war fought by Shri Ram against Ravan was to establish the importance of principles. Shri Ram came on earth to restore dharma in society and to teach us how we must live under the guidance of proper principles and values. And I would like to end the speech with one of those values that Sanatan Dharma has taught us, following the principles of Shri Ram. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram, Anjali. Thank you. Wonderful speech. Kritika Dwarakanath is our next participant, and she is an 8th grader at Lanier Middle School. And she also has been a volunteer since elementary school at Houston Namadwar. So volunteerism is something that's very important to Kritika. And she wants to learn more about Sanatan Dharma by participating in events like today. She's very passionate about music and computers. She wants to study computer engineering in college. Best wishes to you, Kritika.
Radhe Radhe. By the grace of my Guru, I'm here to speak on the relevance of Lord Rama in today's world. The Ramayana is so beautiful, not just in the story it tells, but in the valuable life lessons it teaches us. It's called Ramasya Ayana, which means the path that Lord Rama walked. And what can we learn from his path, and how does it apply to today? This can be summarized into 2 simple points. 1, Rama always followed his dharma, and 2, Rama knew how to connect with and inspire others. Now, dharma is your duty, but it can also be interpreted as nature. For example, it's a dog's dharma to wag its tail when it's happy. Rama had quite a few major dharmas during the Ramayana, but one of them was that of being an ideal son. And he fulfilled this by making sure that his father's word was always true. When Kaikeyi Mata begged Dasharatha to send Rama to the forest for 14 long years, Dasharatha didn't want to do this, but Rama knew that he had to keep his father's word true. So without complaining, he, Lakshmana, and Sita went to the forest and they didn't look back. He also fulfilled his dharma of being a good husband by going to rescue Sita. And this represents that Rama really truly cared for Sita like an ideal husband. And this is also a metaphor for how Bhagavan wants us, the jiva, to attain him later. He also fulfilled his final dharma of being an ideal king by coming back to Ayodhya and ruling wisely. He also gave the kingdoms of Lanka and Kishkinda to Vibhishana and Sugriva respectively, thereby helping him prove that he is a good warrior and Kshatriya. Now, being a king in Treta Yuga would have required you to be able to connect with and inspire your subjects, which brings me to my second point on how Rama did exactly that. When Vibhishana left Ravana's side and asked to join Rama's side, Rama, instead of telling all the Vanaras that I'm going to accept this person, you must agree with me, he instead called a meeting and asked all the Vanaras for the opinion. Then he picked an opinion that he liked, and that was Hanumanji's. And then he reinforced it to show that this is why Vibhishana should join our side. And when Sugriva had finally gotten the kingdom of Kishkinda back after Rama had killed Vali, Sugriva wanted to go right away to go look for Sita, but Rama saw that he was really tired. Sugriva had suffered in a way that was similar to his own, and Rama believed, and he was so compassionate that he thought Sugriva deserved a normal life, at least for a while. And when Sugriva was finally done taking a break, they went to go look for Sita, and they finally found her. In conclusion, Rama had many ideal qualities that are good for this modern age, including being able to always follow his dharma and connecting and inspiring other people. If we all show these qualities, we can become better people and help improve society as a whole. Radhe Radhe, thank you for this opportunity.
Radhe Radhe. Great job, Kritika. Thank you for participating and your words of wisdom. I just want to say I've been learning a lot while listening to these participants and their thoughts and analogies of the Ramayana and passing on great messages. Our last participant is Krupa Rathi, and Krupa is a sophomore at Travis High School in Sugar Land. She wants to become a dermatologist when she grows up, and she loves to volunteer as well and give back to her community. She enjoys learning about her culture and heritage and is extremely excited to being a part and being involved with Hindus of Greater Houston. Ruparati.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me today. I will be talking about the relevance of the Ramayana in today's world. So, Jai Shri Ram. When we think of the Ramayana, we think of the great Indian epic poem that narrates the life of Rama in his exile. We put so much emphasis upon Rama's sacrifices and heroics that we sometimes fail to recognize the great support system Rama had that allowed him to fulfill his exile and rescue Sita from Ravana. There are many instances in this epic where we see that Rama relied on his family and companions that he met along his journey, and together they accomplished the unthinkable, the defeat of Ravana. Throughout Rama's life, Lakshmana and Bharat never left the side of their older brother, and Lakshmana willingly gave up his lavish lifestyle to follow him and Sita through the 14-year Vanvas, which is given to Rama as a result of Kaikeyi's desire for her son Bharat to become king. Rama accepted his fate without any argument or questions and was accompanied by Sita and Lakshmana on this demanding voyage. However, Kaikeyi's plan had failed as Bharat only completed the responsibilities of a king and never accepted the title, continuing to wait for his brother to return home. He also fulfilled the request of Rama to take care of their family and Braja. On the other hand, Lakshmana traveled with his brother and helped him search for Sita whenever Ravana abducted her, and fought alongside him as they worked to free Sita. No matter where Rama was, he always had someone to rely on and trust, as there was no way he could complete these difficult tasks himself. We see Rama's appreciation for Lakshmana as he states, "One may have wives and relatives in every country, but one cannot have a brother like Lakshmana in every place." The Ramayana teaches us the importance of dependence and trust, as we can't do everything for ourselves. For example, in today's world, we collaborate to solve personal and global issues, as studies prove that having a strong support system have many benefits, such as higher levels of well-being, better coping skills, and a decreased risk of depression and anxiety. Additionally, another prevalent teaching of the Ramayana is the strength of faith and how we can worship anywhere to seek the blessing of God, as long as we have a clean and pure heart. In the Ramayana, we can see how Hanumanji hamesha Ram naam lete hai, Jai Shri Ram, koi bhi karya ke pehle, as he believes in the faith and power of just Ram's name. Even today, we consistently take part in aartis, bhavans, and rituals, praising God's name in order to receive punya and ashirvad. By just taking God's name, we're able to soothe ourselves by reminding ourselves that God will always look out for us and does everything for a reason. There are many ways to interpret the Ramayana and its values, as everyone has a unique viewpoint and certain values that they abide by. In this evolving society, we constantly change ourselves in order to keep up with these social trends, but we must remember to follow our teachings and beliefs as they provide some guidance and support to us. It is vital that we learn about the numerous values and morals demonstrated in the Ramayana and learn how to apply them in our daily lives to improve the current version of ourselves. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram, Kruti, thank you, Krupa, thank you. Well done. And the last participant, Vipashchit Nanda, will be introduced by Taraji. So, President of Hindus of Greater Houston, Taraji, thank you.
Namaste all. Yes, it is my honor to introduce Vipashchit Nanda of Arya Samaj, who is a senior at A-Leaf Kerr High School. He is a member of the National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, National Honor Society President and Speech and Debate Team, as well as awardee of the Diwali Volunteer and facilitated Diwali Mela at Arya Samaj with food stalls, fireworks, and game stalls, as well as Meals on Wheels project, Interfaith. He was part of that, volunteered to package items and distribution for the asylum seekers as well as refugees. He's the recipient of several awards with a dynamic young man, extensive credentials. Last year, he was the awardee of our Hindu Youth Awards also, and I'm welcoming Vipaschit. It's all your time now.
Namaste, everyone. My name is Vipashit Nanda, and today I'm going to be talking about Ram and Ramnavami. So Ramnavami, or the celebration of Lord Ram's birthday, falls on the Navami, or the ninth day of the month of Chaitra in the Hindu calendar. Now, in Valmiki's Ramayana, it depicts the epic story of Ram, but this not only serves as a storytelling device, but also as a medium through which every human can learn about values and ethics. Furthermore, Valmiki essentially describes Ram as Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma, or Ram is the embodiment of Dharma, who displays perfect moral as well as social behavior. Now, he contains attributes of dharma, such as dhriti, which is patience, kshama, compassion, dam, self-control, asteya, non-stealing, shaucha, cleanliness, di, intellect, vidya, spiritual knowledge, satya, truthfulness, and akrodha, non-anger. He's also the upholder of dharma, or righteousness. He holds true to his ideals in the face of trials and tribulations, whether it be his exile from his kingdom and his separation from his beloved wife Sita. He's also referred to as the Maryada Purushottam Shriram, and this is because Maryada represents the inner principles and morals that limits him, and the Purushottam signifies his status as being the best man or being the best human being. So simply put, Ram is the personification of the highest human values and never deviates from this righteous path in his every thought or action. And we can see this idealism in the Ramayana. When Keki approaches Lord Ram about the three conditions, that he cannot be coordinated as king, Bharat has to be king, and that he has to go on exile for 14 years, Ram replies to her saying that, Raghukul Reet Sada Chali Aayi, Pran Jai Par Vachan Nahi Jai, which translates to, it is the tradition of the Raghukul dynasty that lives may be lost, but a promise always has to be kept. With such strong ideals like this, it's no surprise why Lord Ram is described as the perfect ideal human being. Lord Ram also characterizes how a man should fulfill his dharma and should strictly follow his moral values so that we can maintain the social order. And furthermore, Swami Vivekananda even goes on to say that Ram is the embodiment of truth, of morality, the ideal son, the ideal husband, and above all, the ideal king. His moral behavior and conduct made him a leader par excellence. And I think in today's world, Ram's idealistic views and approach is something we can all gain inspiration from. We should be socialized to be selfless, honest, and courageous, and maintain the highest standards of integrity. We should make an honest attempt to grow in the virtues that Lord Rama represents, so that we can make ourselves better and the whole world better, and so we can follow in the footsteps of such a great human being. Dhanyavad and namaste.
I would invite first Brij Kathuria ji. Go ahead and please give us your views. Thank you so much for being a judge.
Well, namaste, everyone. It is my pleasure and honor to be here today as a judge. In the past, I have judged science projects. However, this is my first experience judging based on the faith. This contest reminded me of when I came to this country. When I was 17 years old, and I was surrounded by non-Hindu faiths. There's hardly any Indian temples, and it was a big struggle, and I was struggling. Whatever I learned while I was growing in India, which helped me to stay close to my Hindu faith in the USA, and I remember I used to do Sandhya every day chanting, so I remembered them, and I passed on my learning to my children. In fact, I even struggled. I went to Bible studies when I was growing up because we didn't have much presence of the Hindu temples. And the only place was the Krishna temple, ISKCON temple I used to go. I'm glad how the participants are learning our faith. I'm looking from my perspective, I'm seeing it's just wonderful. And culture at this age, I didn't even know many things, which help you out and which help them out in the future. You, all the speakers did an outstanding job preparing it, practicing it, the Ramnavami speech. I personally learned a lot from a different dimensions, actually. So while I was growing up, there's no way I could have done this. So my big thanks goes to the parents and the environment you're growing. So may God richly bless you all, and thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Brij Kathuria ji. Thank you so much. And now I will invite Dr. Bala Aiyer.
Okay. It's a wonderful event that you organized, Taraji. Only thing is, I don't know whether you will be torturing us like this. Torturing because there are 7 beautiful young children, young kids. Everyone is perfect. And is there a way to give 7 gold medals you can give to all of them? Because each one is different. They cannot compete with each other. And it's so difficult to grade them. Some of them, of course, the problem was with the microphone or the setup, but we should not deny somebody's knowledge towards the technical problems. But they all done a wonderful job, and they have learned, studied, and understood the subject, because Hinduism is not that easy. The only thing I think is they have to understand that Rama avatar is a human avatar. So Rama himself has got all the fallbacks of the humans, but as he said, Maryada Purusha, he is the Purushottaman. So he is not God like Krishna. He shows all his good and bad habits and very nicely projected. And that's what they were all saying, and everything was very good. So I don't know how to grade them, but maybe 1 mark this way or that way, something. So our only advice for all the kids is that if any of you become, if there is only 1, all the others 6 will be number 2. Let's put it that way. So it should be like that, because don't get disappointed. You have done a wonderful job. Only thing is, Taraji wanted to select only 1 person, then that becomes a problem. So it's almost like tossing a coin, ini, mini, minimo, and that way it goes. So that's why we have to understand, and I don't want the children to be disappointed if they are not on the number 1, because they are actually, if it's not number 1, it is 0.999997. So like that. So it's a wonderful event, and we wish the children are involved in this kind of lectures more often, maybe in our weekly satsang that I'm organizing for Meenakshi Temple. They can come once a month at least and talk there. I'll plan that to get them there. Thank you, Zaraji.
Oh, you're most welcome. You really kind of touched upon the fact, our Hindus of Greater Houston, last time I had first online contest of the Janmashtami, and I had about 6 judges. They all said the first thing, why do you want to punish us? Because every child was a winner in that. Nobody could be easily judged. So Hindu of Greater Houston want all the participants to be equally honored tomorrow. Thank you so much. Okay, I would like to invite Vivek Menon to please share his thoughts. And Vivek, go ahead, Vivek.
Okay, thank you, Taraji. I mean, it's indeed a pleasure to be here today. I think it's I'm in very august company today, including the children who have all, obviously imbibed a lot of the value systems. And of course, going back to my childhood, most of my knowledge of, both Hinduism as well as the 2 big epics was from the Amar Chitra Kathas. And I hope that, these children also get an opportunity to read those, because I think, there's so much of the value systems that we need today that are in there. I think all of these participants, each one of them, these young kids, are all extremely talented. It's very difficult, like some of the other judges said, to kind of, grade them and, separate them out in terms of their ability to speak publicly. And firstly, let me congratulate all of them for coming forward and, being a part of this contest. I think there's so much more than just, learning about, the Ramayana. I think there's so much more to it in terms of the confidence that they've gained, in terms of how they project themselves. And, in a post-COVID world, when all of us are, sitting so remotely, I mean, I wish I could have actually seen all of them on stage, probably in person, because I'm sure there's so much of the emoting that gets lost in translation over here. And I think all of them have done exceptionally well. Again, it's indeed an honor for me to be a part of this judging contest. And, thank you, Taraji, for obviously holding the flag up high. I know you do this on a week-to-week basis, and it's not easy. But at the same time, you're imbibing in all of these children value systems that are so essential growth and to their overall development. So thank you once again. I'll try my best to kind of judge them, not judge them really, but to at least attribute some amount of marks to each of the different aspects that you've kind of enumerated here. So all the very best again to all of each and every one of you. Wish you guys a very, very happy Ramnavami, and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
All of your cooperation in being here on